Today happens to be Epiphany, arguably the third most important day in the Christian calendar. Not only does it mark the end of the Christmas season, but it signals one of the most important and yet underappreciated themes in all of Christian belief, the opening of the kingdom of God to the Gentiles. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Monday, January 6th, 2025. For the next few days, I want to explore the theme of Epiphany and its importance in our lives. Epiphany celebrates the coming of the Magi, the wise men, to pay homage to Jesus, the newborn king. The story is found only in the Gospel of Matthew, which is appropriate as Matthew's Gospel focuses on the fulfillment in Jesus Christ of the promises of God in the Old Testament. The story of the Magi is rather long for a devotional. At first I thought about reading only parts of it and summarizing the rest, but instead I'll read the whole thing, make one or two brief comments about it, and then return to it in the next few days to unfold its full meaning. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising and have come to pay him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and all the scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it has been written by the prophet, and you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod secretly called for the wise men and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word, so that I may also go and pay him homage." When they had heard the king, they set out. And there ahead of them went the star that they had seen at its rising, until it stopped over the place where the child was. Now, when they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then, opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And, having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. Now, one of the jobs of a preacher in interpreting any text is first to locate the central meaning of the text and articulate it. After that, the preacher might identify and explore some of the secondary meanings of the text also, of which there are almost always a few. Sometimes the central meaning of a text is hard to discern and separate from secondary meanings, but not so with this story. There is one central overarching meaning that the church has celebrated for nearly 2 millennia now, and I won't beat around the bush. The central meaning of this text, as I hinted at the start, is the opening up of God's kingdom to the Gentiles, a theme hinted at throughout the Old Testament, but made manifest now in Jesus Christ. The Magi, wise men, probably astrologers who were skilled at reading signs and omens and the movements of the stars and planets, were outsiders to Israel. They were not Jews, but members of some other ancient Near Eastern religion. And yet, they have come to pay homage to Jesus Christ, whom they understand to be the newborn King of the Jews. But really, their homage signals that a new age has dawned. The God of all creation, who has chosen Israel as a special race, has now in Jesus Christ fulfilled a promise first made to Abraham, that blessing to all the peoples of the world would come through his offspring. Often lost in the long story in Genesis of Abraham and his immediate descendants, this promise frames the very purposes of God in the world. And it is to this promise that I will return tomorrow when we continue to unpack the meaning of Epiphany. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.